If I told you the universe itself is nothing more than a thought, would you dare to believe me? You have been taught that reality is solid, that the world exists outside of you, independent of your thoughts. You wake each day, believing that what you see is what you get, that matter is primary, and mind is secondary. And yet somewhere deep within, you have felt the quiet suspicion that this is not the whole story. By the end of this journey, you will no longer see thought as small or powerless. You will recognize it as the very ground of being, the first principle behind manifestation, success, and transformation. So I ask you once more, if the universe is truly a thought, what will you dare to think into being? This is the first of the 7 great universal laws, the Law of Mentalism, the teaching that all is mind, that the universe itself is mental in nature, not as a metaphor, not as poetry, but as a fundamental truth of existence. The ancient Hermetic masters taught it. Mystics across every age hinted at it. Modern quantum physics echoes it in its own language, particles responding to observation, reality existing as probabilities until the mind collapses them into form. The universe is not a machine, it is a living thought. But here is the problem. Most people still live as prisoners of their own unexamined thinking. They believe circumstances shape them. They believe their past defines their future. They believe they must fight matter with matter, never realizing the true battlefield has always been the mind. This audiobook is a guide back to that hidden knowledge. Together, we will explore how your inner world projects the screen of your outer life, how imagination precedes creation, how the conversations you repeat silently in your head become the people and events you meet in the flesh. Chapter 1. The universe is mental. Everything you see, everything you touch, every event you call real, all of it begins in the unseen realm of mind. This is the first great Hermetic axiom. All is mind. It means that the universe itself is not a collection of mechanical parts, but a living thought. Pause for a moment and let that sink in. You are not walking through a dead landscape of matter. You are walking through the dream of the infinite mind. And because you too are a spark of that mind, your thoughts ripple outward into the same creative field. Matter is not primary. For centuries, human beings believed matter was the foundation of reality. Rocks, atoms, planets, these seemed solid, permanent, unyielding. Mind, on the other hand, was seen as fragile, fleeting, an afterthought of the brain. But the mystics knew better. They taught that the physical world is the effect, not the cause. Modern science, surprisingly, has begun to echo this truth. Quantum experiments reveal that particles do not exist in fixed states until observed. Energy behaves like possibility, a cloud of potential, until consciousness interacts with it. In other words, the universe waits for mind to decide. This is what the Law of Mentalism whispers to you. Your thoughts are not secondary. They are the blueprint of reality itself. The universe as a thought form. Imagine an architect. Before a single brick is laid, the entire building exists in the architect's mind. Every line, every curve, every detail already complete in thought. The physical construction simply translates the invisible design into form. Now expand that image to the scale of the cosmos, the galaxies, the laws of gravity, the miracle of DNA. Each is the echo of a higher mind, conceived first in the invisible, then expressed in the visible. Your life works the same way. The conditions around you are not random. They are the architecture of your inner conversations, the reflections of what you most consistently hold in thought and belief. You are a co-creator. The Law of Mentalism does not mean you are trapped inside another being's dream. It means the dreamer and the dream are one. The infinite mind expresses itself through you. Your imagination is not fantasy, it is creation at its seed stage. Neville Goddard called imagination the creative power of God in you. When you rehearse a scene in your mind, when you hold an inner picture with conviction, you are not playing make-believe. You are transmitting blueprints into the field of mind, where form is sculpted. Consider how every human achievement began this way. the airplane was first an impossible daydream in the minds of the Wright brothers. The light bulb existed in Edison's imagination long before it glowed in glass. Even the device you are listening to right now was once only an idea in someone's mind. Thought always precedes form. The mirror of life. This principle explains why trying to force change only in the outer world often fails. If you focus only on rearranging matter without shifting the mental image that gave rise to it, you will find yourself frustrated. It is like trying to change your reflection in a mirror by polishing the glass. The reflection changes only when you change. In the same way, life responds not to what you fight on the surface, but to what you believe and imagine beneath it. This is why affirmations, visualizations, and inner dialogue matter. They are not wishful thinking, they are tools to redirect the blueprint. Change the seed, and the harvest cannot help but follow. Living in a mental universe. When you realize that the universe is mental, you stop seeing yourself as a victim of chance. You stop waiting for the outer world to approve you, to rescue you, to grant you permission. You understand that the true source is always within. This does not mean denying the physical. It means mastering it at its origin. A sculptor does not fight the stone. He envisions the figure already within it, and the stone yields. So too with your life. When you hold a vision, life circumstances rearrange themselves to match it. The law of mentalism is the foundation of all the other universal laws. It is the starting point, the root principle, the reminder that nothing is more powerful than a mind aligned with truth. Your thoughts are not harmless. They are architects of destiny. They are the unseen currents shaping the rivers of your life. So the question becomes, what are you thinking now? What mental images are you feeding? What worlds are you unconsciously creating? Because whether you know it or not, the universe is listening. The infinite mind is taking your inner pictures as instructions, and reality will soon deliver what you have dared or failed to imagine. Chapter 2. The Power of Perception. You do not see the world as it is. You see the world as you are. Your perception is not a passive lens, but an active projector. It filters, colors, and interprets every moment of your life, turning the raw field of possibility into a personal story. This is the hidden engine behind the law of mentalism. The lens of the mind. Picture yourself wearing tinted glasses. If the lens is blue, everything you see will appear in shades of blue. If the lens is red, the entire world will glow with a red hue. The external objects have not changed, but your perception makes them appear different. Your mind works the same way. Beliefs, assumptions, and inner conversations form the lenses through which you perceive reality. They do not merely color your experience, they generate it. Life reflects back to you the tint of your inner lens. This is why two people can walk through the same city, face the same circumstances, and live entirely different realities. One sees opportunity on every corner, the other sees only danger and scarcity. The difference is not the city, it is the lens. Perception as projection. What you consistently hold within becomes what you consistently meet without. The unexamined belief, I am unlucky, leads to experiences of missed chances. The inner narrative, people cannot be trusted, creates relationships that betray. The thought, I am abundant, magnetizes opportunities for wealth. This is not magic, it is alignment. Consciousness projects, and reality reflects. Just as a movie projector cannot cast an image onto the screen without a film reel inside, the universe cannot play out your life without the inner script you supply. Neville Goddard said it plainly. The world is yourself pushed out. Your outer circumstances are the echo of your inner conversations. If you want to change the echo, you must change the voice. The observer effect. Quantum physics gives us a modern metaphor for this truth. In experiment after experiment, the outcome of a particle changes depending on how it is observed. Light behaves as a wave or a particle based on the expectation of the observer. Reality bends to perception, and so it is with your life. Your assumptions are the observation. Your faith is the measurement. Your expectation is the act that collapses possibility into form. When you expect disappointment, you interact with the field in one way. When you expect blessing, you interact in another. Either way, the field responds. The trap of unconscious perception. Here lies the danger. Most people live without questioning their perception. They assume their thoughts are simply describing reality, when in truth, their thoughts are prescribing it. A person says, "I can never get ahead," not realizing that this lens makes every opportunity invisible. Another says, "Love always abandons me," and wonders why every relationship ends the same way. They are not cursed, they are creating. They are wearing glasses they never remove. The law of mentalism calls you to awaken from this trap, to stop mistaking your perception for truth, to recognize that your life is not what it is, but what you see it as. Choosing a new lens. The good news is that perception can be shifted. You are not locked into old filters forever. Just as you can take off a pair of tinted glasses and put on another, you can consciously adopt new beliefs, new assumptions, new ways of seeing. This is where practices like affirmations, visualization, and mental diets have their power. They are not about forcing positivity. They are about exchanging the lens. When you say, "I am worthy," repeatedly, you polish the lens of self-esteem. When you imagine success already achieved, you swap the lens of struggle for the lens of triumph. And once the lens changes, life cannot help but follow. Consider two people given the same opportunity, a job interview. One goes in with the perception, "I am not qualified. They probably won't want me." Their body language shrinks, their answers falter, and the interviewer senses hesitation. The other goes in with the perception, "I am valuable. This company would be lucky to have me." Their presence radiates confidence, their words flow, and the interviewer feels their energy. The opportunity was the same. The lens created the outcome. Multiply this principle across health, relationships, and abundance, and you begin to see how perception becomes destiny. Aligning with higher perception. The ultimate shift is moving from the narrow lens of fear and lack into the wide lens of higher mind. To see yourself not as a small being begging for scraps from the universe, but as a divine extension of the infinite mind itself. This alignment does not ignore challenges. It reinterprets them. Where the old lens saw obstacles, the higher lens sees lessons. Where the old lens saw rejection, the higher lens sees redirection. Where the old lens saw emptiness, the higher lens sees possibility. With practice, this becomes natural. Your inner commentary changes, and so does the reflection. You discover that heaven and hell are not places, they are perceptions. The law of mentalism begins with thought, but it expresses itself through perception. Your life is the mirror of your assumptions. Change the lens, and the entire scene transforms. So I ask you, what lens are you wearing today? What story are you unconsciously projecting onto the screen of life? Choose carefully, because the world you perceive is the world you will live in. And the moment you shift perception, you shift reality itself. Chapter 3. Shifting Inner Conversation. Every moment of your life, a voice is speaking within you. A constant stream of words, images, and assumptions echo in the chambers of your mind. You may not always notice it, but it is there, shaping the texture of your reality. These inner conversations are not harmless chatter, they are the builders of your world. The law of mentalism tells us that all is mind. Chapter 1 revealed the mental foundation of reality. Chapter 2 showed us how perception becomes projection. Now we arrive at the practical lever, the dialogue you carry within yourself. The silent script of life. Your life follows the script you rehearse in your imagination. The conversations you replay, the arguments you repeat, the worries you magnify. Each becomes a command to the universal mind. Neville Goddard insisted, "Your inner speech is perpetually written all around you in happenings. The whispers of your imagination eventually harden into facts." If you tell yourself daily, "I never get ahead," you are rehearsing a play in which you will always fall short. If you mutter, "Nobody cares about me," you are writing the dialogue of future neglect. Conversely, when you affirm, "I am favored, I am guided, I am abundant," you are planting seeds that bloom into circumstances that echo those very words. Inner conversations versus outer conditions. Most people believe their inner voice is simply reacting to outer events. They think, "I feel poor because my bank account is empty." In truth, the cycle is reversed. The persistent inner conversation of lack gave rise to the empty account. This is why fighting external conditions often fails. You cannot curse the soil and expect a sweet harvest. The seed must change. The conversation must change. The feedback loop. Your inner dialogue creates your outer world, and your outer world then seems to justify your inner dialogue. It is a loop. If the inner voice says, "I am unworthy," reality brings evidence of rejection. Then, seeing the rejection, the voice grows louder. "See, I told you so." The loop continues until you interrupt it, until you stop allowing your subconscious mutterings to dictate your future, until you dare to speak a new word within. How to shift inner conversation. Shifting the voice inside is not about denying reality, it is about rewriting the cause behind it. Here are 3 ways to practice. 1. Catch the whisper. Throughout your day, pause and notice what your mind is saying. Are you replaying a failure? Are you preparing for disappointment? Awareness is the first act of power. 2. Interrupt the loop. When you catch yourself in a limiting thought, stop. Refuse to give it more energy. Replace it with a phrase that affirms your true identity. Example: instead of "I always get sick," whisper, "My body is strong and healing." 3. Rehearse the desired scene. Neville called this revision and imagining from the end. Before sleep, picture a conversation in which someone congratulates you, praises you, or thanks you. Let the emotion of that dialogue imprint itself. Soon the outer world will mirror it. Imagine a man walking home, repeating silently, "Life is unfair. Nothing ever goes my way." He mutters it like a mantra. In the coming days, his car breaks down, his boss criticizes him, and his friends cancel plans. He says, "See, I was right," but in truth, he created it. Now picture the same man choosing differently. On his walk home, he whispers, "I am guided. Everything is working out for me. Life conspires for my good." At first, nothing changes, but within a week, a stranger offers him help. His boss notices his efforts, and new opportunities arise. The shift was not in fate, it was in his inner conversation. The law of assumption. Every inner dialogue rests on an assumption. Do you assume life is hard? Do you assume people will betray you? Do you assume wealth is rare? Those assumptions write the script of your reality. To shift your life, you must shift the assumption. Choose to assume the best. Assume you are loved. Assume you are guided. Assume wealth is natural. These assumptions are not wishful. They are creative orders. The power of night and morning. 2 moments hold special power. As you fall asleep and as you wake. At these thresholds, your subconscious is most impressionable. Fill those moments with new conversations. Whisper to yourself as you drift into sleep, "I am safe. I am abundant. I am free." As you open your eyes in the morning, affirm, "This will be a day of blessings." In time, your days will obey. Your inner conversations are not private. They are cosmic instructions. They tell the universe what role you are willing to play. So ask yourself, what have you been rehearsing? What drama have you been unconsciously directing? And more importantly, what new conversation will you dare to begin? Because when you shift the inner voice, the outer world has no choice but to change its tune. Chapter 4. Mind as Creative Force. The Law of Mentalism declares that all is mind. But here, in this chapter, we come face to face with its living pulse. The mind is not only awareness, it is creation itself. Every structure, every invention, every revolution in human history began not with matter, but with an idea, a thought, a vision unseen by others, but real to the one who dared to imagine it. Imagination is not a toy. It is not a daydream. It is the workshop of the divine. It is the womb of creation itself. The seed before the harvest. Think of a mighty oak tree. To the eye, it is towering, immovable, alive with strength. But before the trunk, before the branches, before the thousands of leaves, there was only a seed. The seed contained the entire pattern. The tree was invisible, but it was already there in potential. Your thoughts are those seeds. Every image you hold, every vision you rehearse, carries the pattern of what will one day grow into form. Thought is the seed. Reality is the harvest. The creative power of imagination. Neville Goddard often reminded his listeners, imagination creates reality. To most, imagination seems like escape, but Neville insisted it is the only true reality, the blueprint from which the physical is sculpted. Think of a gardener. Long before the flowers bloom, she kneels in the soil with tiny invisible seeds. She sees in her mind what the earth does not yet show. Rows of color, fragrance, and life. Her vision guides her actions, and in time, the garden appears exactly as she pictured it. Or consider an artist standing before a blank canvas. To others, the surface is empty. To the artist, it is already alive with form and color. Each brushstroke brings into visibility what imagination had already completed. Your life is no different. Every relationship, every achievement, every breakthrough first existed in the unseen studio of mind. Without exception, imagination is always first. Mind over matter. Modern science reveals the same truth in its own language. Brain scans show that when an athlete visualizes running a race, the same neural pathways fire as if they were physically running. The body cannot distinguish between imagination and action. This is the secret hidden in plain sight. The mind leads, and matter follows. The invisible rehearses, and the visible obeys. The invisible workshop. When you sit quietly and imagine a scene, you are entering the invisible workshop of the universe. You are placing orders in the field of mind, sketching blueprints that reality will later construct. If you fill that workshop with fear, lack, and failure, life will dutifully deliver more of the same. But if you dare to paint images of abundance, love, and success, you awaken the hidden creative machinery of the cosmos. Your mind is not passive, it is causative. It is a brush painting on the canvas of reality. Why most people misuse it? Here lies the tragedy. Most people spend their imagination rehearsing what they fear. They picture loss. They relive mistakes. They create vivid mental movies of rejection, poverty, sickness, and then they wonder why these very scenes show up in their lives. They are using the creative force of mind in reverse, planting seeds of despair and reaping a harvest they did not want. The law of mentalism calls you to become conscious, to stop letting imagination run wild in worry, and to start wielding it deliberately as the tool of creation. Imagining from the end. Neville gave a simple, powerful method. Imagine from the end. Instead of picturing yourself struggling for your goal, imagine yourself already there. Hear the words of congratulations. Feel the joy of accomplishment. See the scene as complete. Do not imagine the process. Imagine the outcome. Then let that image saturate your mind until it feels more real than your current circumstances. This is not fantasy. It is causation. You are programming the infinite mind with a new blueprint, and reality must adjust. The creative mind versus the reactive mind. There are two ways to use your mental power: reactively or creatively. The reactive mind looks at circumstances and says, "This is reality, I must adjust to it." The creative mind looks at circumstances and says, "This is an old image, I will choose a new one." One keeps you a prisoner of appearances. The other makes you a master of appearances. The question is, will you live as a reactor or as a creator? The law of mentalism is not abstract philosophy. It is practical, immediate, and alive in every moment of your life. Your imagination is the creative force of the universe localized in you. Every thought you nurture is a seed. Every scene you imagine is a blueprint. Every inner vision is a silent decree shaping tomorrow's world. So I ask you, what images will you dare to plant? What worlds will you sketch in your invisible workshop? For as surely as the oak lies within the seed, your future lies within the thought you choose today. Chapter 5. Overcoming the Illusion of Matter. To the senses, the world seems undeniable. The body aches, and we call it sickness. The bank account empties, and we call it lack. A door closes, and we call it rejection. Matter feels heavy, permanent, inescapable. But the law of mentalism insists otherwise. Matter is not master, it is servant. The outer world is a mask, not the source. To mistake it for ultimate reality is to confuse the puppet for the puppeteer, the shadow for the flame that casts it. The mirage of solidity. Imagine standing by a river at sunset. The water appears golden, shimmering with light, but dip your hand beneath the surface, and you discover it is only water reflecting the sun. The gold was never in the river, it was an illusion of perception. So it is with life. What we call hard reality is often nothing more than reflected light, the echo of old beliefs, the residue of past imaginations. It seems fixed, but it is not. Like the mirage in the desert, it dissolves the moment you recognize its true nature. Matter as frozen music. Think of a song. In the air it is vibration, invisible yet alive. Write it down in sheet music, and the flowing melody becomes frozen symbols on a page. The page is not the song, it is a snapshot of its movement. Matter is the same, it is frozen music, condensed vibration, a temporary record of flowing mind. What you see in front of you is not eternal, it is the slowed down echo of thought. Change the inner song, and the frozen notes of matter rearrange themselves. The tyranny of appearances. Most people, however, let appearances rule them. They see an unpaid bill and declare, "I am in lack." They read a diagnosis and conclude, "This is final." They feel alone and whisper, "I am unlovable." But appearances are tyrants, only when you give them power. They are not truth, they are history. They tell you where your thoughts have been, not where they must remain. To live under their rule is to be chained to yesterday's imaginations. To see beyond them is to reclaim tomorrow. Consider a farmer walking through bare fields in winter. To the untrained eye, the land looks dead, barren, hopeless. But the farmer smiles, for he knows seeds are sleeping beneath the soil. He does not despair at the appearance of emptiness. He trusts the unseen. Or picture a sculptor facing a block of marble. To others, it is a heavy, lifeless stone. To the sculptor, it is already alive with the figure within. The statue is invisible, but it exists in imagination, waiting to be revealed. This is how you are called to see life, not as a frozen stone, but as potential waiting to be released by the higher mind. The discipline of refusal. You possess a sacred power, the power to refuse appearances, to see them, acknowledge them, but deny them the authority to dictate your destiny. You can look at an empty wallet and affirm, "This is only a shadow. Abundance is forming now." You can read a harsh report and whisper, "This is not the final word. Healing is my reality." You can stand before a closed door and declare, "Another better door is already open." Refusal is not denial. It is recognition. It is remembering that matter is frozen thought, and thought can always be renewed. Shifting allegiance. The moment you stop fearing appearances, you shift allegiance from the illusion of form to the reality of mind. You stop worshiping the clay and start honoring the potter. You stop bowing to the shadow and turn to the light itself. This shift brings peace. It breaks the panic that grips those who believe matter is final. It allows you to walk through storms without fear, knowing the waves are only surface ripples on a deeper sea of consciousness. Training your sight. Train yourself to see beyond matter by practicing what mystics have always known, the art of inner sight. Step 1. Acknowledge. Do not deny what is in front of you. Look at the circumstance and name it. Step 2. Reframe. Say to yourself, this is the echo of an old thought. It is not permanent. Step 3. Replace. Plant a new image in mind. If the report says failure, picture success. If the account says empty, imagine it full. If the mirror shows weakness, envision strength. With repetition, the habit of inner sight grows stronger. The eyes of the heart begin to see more clearly than the eyes of the body. The illusion of matter loses its grip the moment you recognize it as illusion. The prison door was never locked. It was only painted to look that way. The law of mentalism calls you to walk by higher sight, to look beyond appearances, to treat matter as clay in the hands of imagination, not as chains around your freedom. So the next time life confronts you with walls of stone, remember, stone is only frozen thought. You hold the chisel of imagination. You carry the hammer of belief. And when you strike, even the hardest stone must yield. Chapter 6. Aligning with Higher Mind. Up until now, we have explored the foundations of the law of mentalism, that the universe is mental, that perception shapes projection, that imagination creates, and that matter is only frozen thought. But there remains a deeper question. Who is the thinker behind your thoughts? For most people, life is ruled by the small mind, the voice of ego, fear, habit, and survival. But beneath that surface chatter lies a deeper intelligence, a vast consciousness that whispers through intuition, stillness, and inspiration. This is the higher mind, the same infinite mind that sustains the stars and guides the unfolding of your life. The small mind versus the higher mind. The small mind says, I must fight to survive. I must cling to control. It feeds on anxiety, replaying worst-case scenarios and convincing you that appearances are truth. The higher mind says, all is unfolding in perfect order. You are safe. You are guided. It does not argue. It knows. The small mind is limited, conditioned by past experiences and social programming. The higher mind is limitless, flowing from the same source that imagined galaxies into being. When you align with it, you no longer push against life. You flow with the current of creation itself. The frequency of alignment. Think of two instruments. If one is tuned too low, it creates discord when played with another. But when both are tuned to the same pitch, harmony is effortless. Your small mind and higher mind must be tuned. When the chatter of ego is vibrating at fear and the higher mind is vibrating at trust, you feel tension. But when you quiet the chatter and allow your thoughts to resonate with the frequency of peace, harmony returns. This is alignment, the conscious choice to think, feel, and act in rhythm with the greater mind. How do you align with the higher mind? Through disciplines that quiet the noise and awaken the signal. 1. Meditation. Sit in stillness. Let the stream of thoughts pass without grasping. Soon, beneath the surface noise, you will sense the calm ocean of higher awareness. This ocean is always there. You simply need to sink into it. 2. Visualization detour. Create inner pictures, not from fear, but from faith. Imagine the outcome you desire as if it already exists. Let the higher mind fill those images with energy, and they will begin to crystallize into form. 3. Affirmation. Speak words that align with your divine identity. Instead of repeating the ego's fear, I am not enough, declare, I am one with infinite mind, I am abundance, I am love. 4. Surrender. Release the need to control every detail. Say to yourself, I trust the higher mind to arrange what I cannot. Surrender is not weakness, it is power, because it aligns you with the wisdom of the source. History is filled with moments when alignment with the higher mind changed the course of lives. The composer who heard music in a dream and awoke to write it down note for note. The scientist who solved a problem not through calculation, but through a sudden flash of insight. The ordinary person who, in a moment of silence, felt guided to take a step that led to love, opportunity, or healing. These were not accidents. They were the fruit of alignment. When the ego rests, inspiration flows. Living from inspiration, not reaction. Most of humanity lives in reaction, bouncing from circumstance to circumstance, letting appearances dictate thought. But alignment invites you to live from inspiration. Instead of asking, "What does the world demand of me?" you begin to ask, "What is the higher mind showing me?" You discover that you do not need to chase solutions. They come. You do not need to force outcomes. They unfold. You do not need to beg for guidance. It whispers in the silence. Alignment ritual. Each morning, before the noise of the world enters, pause for a few moments. Place your hand on your heart and whisper, "Today, I align with the higher mind. I release fear. I release control. I allow wisdom to guide my steps." Carry that intention through your day. When fear arises, return to it. When doubt comes, repeat it. Soon it becomes your natural state. The law of mentalism does not end with the recognition that all is mind. It calls you to align your personal mind with the infinite, to lift your gaze from the chatter of ego to the stillness of source. When you do, fear loses its grip, chaos becomes clarity, obstacles become opportunities, and life begins to feel less like a struggle and more like a dance, one in which the universe itself is your partner. So I ask you, will you continue to let the small mind run the show, or will you tune yourself to the frequency of the higher mind? For the moment you align, you discover what sages have always known. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe, thinking itself through you. Chapter 7. Living the Law of Mentalism. The Law of Mentalism is not meant to remain as a theory, locked away in sacred books or whispered only in temples. It is a law of life, meant to be lived, breathed, and practiced in every ordinary moment. It is only when you embody it that you discover its true power. All is mind. This truth has echoed through every chapter. But now we ask, how do you carry this into your daily existence? How do you transform lofty knowledge into living wisdom? The mental diet. Neville Goddard spoke of the mental diet, the discipline of guarding your inner conversations. Just as you would not fill your body with poison, you must not fill your mind with thoughts of lack, fear, or defeat. This does not mean suppressing every negative thought, but rather becoming vigilant. The moment you catch yourself replaying worry, stop, replace it, whisper a word of faith, imagine a new scene. Over time, this practice reshapes the entire texture of your mind. Thought awareness. Begin to treat thoughts as seeds. Ask yourself, if this thought took root, what would it grow into? Would I want to live in its harvest? If the answer is no, release it. If the answer is yes, nurture it. In this way, you become a conscious gardener of your inner world, no longer scattering seeds at random, but planting only what you wish to see bloom. Morning alignment. Each day is a canvas, fresh and unpainted. Before the demands of the world rush in, pause to set your tone. Take 5 minutes upon waking to declare, "I am one with infinite mind. I am abundant. I am guided. Today, life reflects my highest thoughts." This simple act tunes your consciousness to a higher frequency, ensuring that your day is painted with intention rather than reaction. Evening revision. At night, the subconscious is most impressionable. Before sleep, replay the day, not as it was, but as you wish it had been. Revise conversations, imagine better outcomes, forgive mistakes, and see yourself victorious. In time, this nightly practice dissolves regret and rewrites the trajectory of your future. Living in the end. To live the law of mentalism is to live in the end. Stop asking, "How will it happen?" Instead, assume it already has. Walk, speak, and feel as though the reality you desire is present now. This is not delusion, it is alignment. When the mind accepts the end as real, life reshuffles itself to match. The bridge of events unfolds naturally, without strain or striving. Walking by inner sight. Remember, appearances are echoes of the past. Do not let them command your faith. Choose instead to walk by inner sight, the eye of imagination. When outer conditions contradict your vision, hold steady. Say to yourself, this too is illusion. My true reality is forming in mind. That steadiness is faith, and faith is the hand that shapes the invisible into the visible. The ripple effect. As you live this law, something beautiful happens. You discover that changing your mind changes more than your own life. It changes the lives around you. Your peace calms others. Your faith inspires them. Your abundance blesses them. The law of mentalism is not selfish. It is expansive. When you align with higher mind, the ripples extend outward, touching family, friends, communities, and beyond. The embodied truth, living the law of mentalism, is not about perfection. It is about practice. You will falter. Old thoughts will return. Appearances will tempt you to forget. But each time you remember, each time you choose a higher thought, each time you shift an inner conversation, you embody the law a little more. Over time, it becomes natural. You no longer ask, does this work? You simply know, because your life itself becomes evidence. The law of mentalism is not distant. It is alive in every breath, every thought, every heartbeat. To live it is to reclaim your true power. To walk as creator, not victim. To see the world not as something happening to you, but as something happening through you. So I leave you with this question. What kind of world will you dare to live today? Will it be the world of fear, created unconsciously by scattered thoughts? Or will it be the world of love, abundance, and freedom, deliberately sculpted by the mind aligned with Source? For the choice is yours, and the moment you choose, the universe begins to rearrange itself. All is mind. This is the first law, the hidden key, the truth behind every truth. You are not a leaf tossed by the winds of chance. You are the wind itself. You are not a prisoner of matter. You are the dreamer of matter, the architect, the artist, the gardener of reality. Every thought is a seed. Every word is a brushstroke. Every image you hold is a command written upon the canvas of the cosmos. You are never powerless, for the infinite mind breathes through you. So now, stand in your true identity. Release the grip of appearances. Refuse the tyranny of fear. Lift your gaze from the small chatter of ego and align with the vast, quiet wisdom of the higher mind. Say within yourself, I am one with infinite mind. I think divine thoughts. I imagine boldly. I create consciously. I am the author of my reality. And as you declare it, feel the universe itself respond. Feel the stars bearing witness. Feel the fabric of reality rearranging at the vibration of your intention. From this moment on, may you walk with the knowing that your mind is not a cage but a kingdom, that your imagination is not fantasy but a divine creation, that your life is not random but the echo of the thoughts you dare to hold. Choose wisely, choose powerfully, choose in love. For the universe is thought, and you are thought in action. And so it is.